my dear children, how are you all? I hope you all are doing very well. So, what we are going to study in today's class? We are going to study about our early man, how they live. Okay, so the name of this new chapter is Life of Early Humans. In this chapter, we are going to see how early man discovered fire, how they invented wheels, okay, and how they started domestic life, and etc and etc. So let's start the chapter. Thousands of years ago, early humans were like animals. You know what, my dear children? Thousands of years ago, there is no difference between wild animal and human beings. Okay, because early humans were similarly like wild animals. They were afraid of animals like lions, tigers, and elephants, etc. These animals were much more stronger than them. They lived in dark caves or tree tops. Now see, early mans were afraid of some strong animals like lion, tiger, elephants. Okay, and why they are afraid? Because these animals were much more stronger than early human beings. Early human beings used to live in dark caves. Okay, they also used to live on the top of the tree. Food was their main problem, and you know what was their main problem? Okay, what is the main problem faced by early human beings? Food is their main problem. They did not know how to cultivate crops. They moved from one place to another in search of food. Now see, food is their main problem. They don't know how they can produce crops, how can they do farming. Okay, so in the search of food, they constantly move from one place to another place. They ate raw meat, fruits, roots of trees, and leaves of plants. So okay, so to save themselves from starvation, they eat raw meats. Okay, they hunt animals. Okay, peel their skin and eat them. Okay, they eat raw meats. Okay, they eat fruits. They also eat the roots of the trees and leaves of the plant for their survival. Early humans' first ever tool was a stone. And you know what? Early humans made which tool or use which tool? They use stones. They also learn to make sharp and pointed wooden sticks and use them as weapon. And slowly, they also learn how they can make sharp wooden sticks. Okay, and how they can use those sharp wooden sticks as their weapons. They kept on improving their tools and become hunters. Okay, so time to time they kept improving their weapons. Okay, and now they become professional hunters. Thus they learn to protect themselves from strong wild animals. Now when their weapons are advanced, when their weapons are sharp, now this is possible. Okay, now they can protect themselves from the attack of those wild animals like lion, tiger, elephant, etc. Okay, so here are two pictures are given. You can see early human beings living in the cave, and early human being killing a big pig. Early humans had no clothes to wear. When it was very cold, they wore the skin of the animal or the bark and leaves of tree. Similarly, if they are facing the crisis of food, similarly they face the crisis of clothes because they don't have anything to wear. Okay, summers are okay. They can spend summer and rainy season, but what about winter? Okay, in winter season when there was very cold, okay, they wore the skin of animals, and they also make a dress from leaves. Okay, now the first thing which is invented by our early man was discovery of fire. At times they saw fire breaking out in a forest. Once upon a time they saw that the fire broke out in the whole forest. They saw animals running away from the flame, and now they noticed that all the animals of the jungle started running away from that fire. Early humans too were afraid of fire, but they also enjoyed its warmth. And you know what? Just like those animals, early human beings were also afraid of fire, but they are enjoying the warmth of fire. Fire protected them from wild animals. Eventually, they learned how to create fire by rubbing two stones together. And you know what? Fire protect early men from the attack of wild animals. Okay, and slowly, they also learn how they can create fire by rubbing the two stones. Okay. One day a piece of raw flesh accidentally fell into the fire, and when they picked it, they found it to be softer and more tastier than before. From that moment on, they began to cook their food. And you know what? One day there is a piece of raw flesh accidentally fell into that fire and it cooked. So when early human being took out that piece of flesh and ate, it tastes tastier in comparison of raw flesh. So from that moment onwards, they begin to cook their food because they understand the concept of cooked food. After the discovery of fire, they discovered how they can do farming. One day, some seeds fell from the ripe forest of a tree on the ground. They realized later that the seeds that fell on the ground grow into plants. Okay. One day, some seeds from the from the ripe fruits fell on the ground, and after some time, they noticed that there is a new plant, a new baby plant came out. Okay. So they considered, oh, it means if we start planting seeds, it is converted into plant. Early humans realized that seeds, when sown, grow into plant and give fruits. Later, they started growing plants near the river banks. Now, slowly, they learned this thing. They have to start growing plants near the bank of rivers. They started living together near farms. Mud houses were built to live. Now, they started living together near the farm fields. Okay. Now, they also started constructing their own shelters. And all the shelters of those early human beings are made up of mud and clay. Okay. So, my dear student, here you can see this is the discovery of fire and farming by early human beings. And settlement to a domestic life. They also learned to tame animals. Dogs helped them in hunting. Oxen pulled their flocks and cows gave them milk. Now, eventually, on the passing of the time, they also learn how they can domesticate the animals. Like dogs help them in hunting. Okay. Ox are pulling their flocks. Okay. And help them in farming. And from the cows, they are getting milk to drink. These developments brought languages into their life. Now the development of now to the development in domestic, now there is a development in their domestic life. So they also learn to speak languages. Now they settle down a domestic life. Okay. Now the early human beings settled in a domestic life. Slowly, when humans live together, small settlements are formed. So earlier when humans, early humans started living together, small population began to emerge. This settlement later become village and towns. Now, slowly, small population grows into a village population, then after town population. Now, the early human began to think about their future. Now, early humans got a thought that now we can think about our future generation. They met people living in nearby settlement. Now, they started meeting the people who live in nearby settlements. Traveling on land to meet them was still very difficult. But you know what? Still, traveling is very hard for them. They managed to tie a few sticks together to make a flat cart or a sledge. A sledge is a cart without wheels. They used tamed animals to pull the sledge. Now, slowly, they started making sledge. Okay, and on that sledge, they sat and their domestic and their tamed animal carry them from one place to another place. Here you can see, my dear student, domesticating of animals by early human being. This early man getting a milk from cow and this dog carrying those early men. Now, invention of wheel. The wheel was one of the invention which changed the life of the early human beings. Now see, till now fire is invented. Okay. Early human beings learn how they can do farming, how they can domesticate animals. But one invention which changed the entire history of early humans, that invention was invention of wheels. It is difficult to say how the idea of the wheel originated. Actually, till now, it is very difficult to know who gave the idea of wheels to them. Rolling stones gave them the idea of rounding of the things that they wanted to move. Then they found that the round piece of wood could be rolled easily on the ground. And there is a theory behind, okay, and there is a theory behind that maybe they saw that a rolling stone, okay, and by seeing that rolling stone they got the concept of wheels. They might have seen a log of wood rolling down from the hill at a great speed. Similarly, maybe they saw a huge piece of wood rolling down at the hill in a great speed. In this way they discovered the idea of the wheel, and similarly in this way they got, now they can invent a wheel, okay. By fixing wheels to sledges, humans made a wheeled cart. Now sledges are already invented, early human beings fixed wheels to those sledges, and this made their wheeled carts made the movement of people and goods much easier. Now by the inventing wheels, carts movement become very easy, okay. People from different areas came into contact. Now early human beings can contact from, if they are present at this place, now they can communicate with the other people also. They exchanged goods and learned many things from one another. Now they started exchanging goods from each other, and now through the exchange of goods they came to know about each other culture, about each other language, etc. The wheel was used for making potteries. Now wheels are also used for making potteries. Here you can see, my dear student, this is the invention of the wheel, and here an early human being making a potter, okay, making a pottery using wheels. The potter wheels helped in making better clay pots. Now why we need potter wheels? Because potter wheels helped in making better clay pots. This is used even today for making clay pots. And you know what, not in earlier times, even till today in 2025 still clay pots are made, okay. So this invention has done so much to bring comfort to human. This day the wheel is used in almost all kinds of vehicles and machine. And you know what, my dear children, the invention of wheel by early human being is the greatest invention of all time. Till today wheels are used because in each and every mode of transportation we use wheels. Early humans found some stones containing metals which were harder than ordinary stones. And you know what, early human beings also found that some stones have contained metals, and those stones which contain metal, they are harder in comparison of those stones who didn't contain any metal. They heated them in fire and got metal out of these stones. Now they started heating those stones containing metal, and they got, okay, and they become successful separating those stones from those metals. Gradually there was progress in every field. Now you can see, my dear student, there is a progress in each and every field. Earlier human beings invented fire, then they started plugging the fields, means they started doing farming. Now they started rearing the animals, okay, again they started inventing wheels. The humans of today are much wiser, more hardworking and powerful. They have made life very comfortable for themselves. So if we compare the life of early human being and our today's modern human being life, our life is much more comfortable in comparison of earlier human being. We are much more clever, we are much more wiser in comparison of them. Okay, so my dear student, this is all in today's session. Now what you have to do, you have to go through this chapter and complete the exercise based on this chapter. Okay, my dear students. So I'm going to meet with you all in a next session with a new topic. Till then, take very good care of yourself. Bye.